Hey, Pac. Welcome to a blockbuster episode of Danny Boyd. Talking to the president, Kylie Watson-Wheeler. We booked this in months ago for this date, so we would talk about how good it was that we were in finals, but that's looking very unlikely now. So this is a bit of a more difficult chat than we wanted. I'm going to cut straight into it, but I do want to say that if you're in Brisbane, Gold Coast, Southeast Queensland, please, this Friday night I am hosting a fundraiser comedy show for the Ukraine Crisis Appeal at the Sit Down Comedy Club in Paddington. Would love to see any Bulldogs fans there. And if you want to actually support me, I've got a stand-up special on Amazon Prime from a few years ago. Just watch it and give it a thumbs-up review. That would be awesome. Also, you know, my YouTube and all of that. You should also get Disney Plus because that would help the president. Anyway, this is me talking to Kylie Watson-Wheeler.
I want attacking purpose from football all the time. Now we're going to have backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And puts player back in front. From inside the centre square, Boyd kicked the goal. Boyd kicked the goal from inside the centre. I can't believe that.
When did you go, all right, that's game?
Well, I think as soon as you concede an entire quarter, I think.
Halftime you were.
Yeah, I just find that once you're on the chase, once you're.
Oh, man.
You know, that momentum is there, you start to feel like, you know, you're just completely behind the eight ball. And how do you catch that?
Every time we got the goals in the last quarter, I was like, oh, okay, maybe we can do this.
Well, it doesn't mean I didn't want us to. Doesn't mean I wasn't hoping that would be the case, but I did get that sinking feeling at the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, it's just. And what is your role on match day? You have the president's function where you have to speak, and then do you have to do anything? Like obviously, and you're in the rooms afterwards. How was that?
Oh, you know, I mean, everybody was feeling the same and you know, we're all feeling a bit sorry for ourselves, that's for sure. But people are there's a camaraderie in that room, I think. There's a recognition that we're all in it together. But yesterday was a particularly unusual day because we had our girls playing at Icon Park. So I headed over there in the morning and, fantastic win for the girls.
Start with some positivity.
Yeah, really, really great for the girls to have that, you know, confidence builder, and they look great. They looked really good.
And against Richmond as well. Like I've always, you know, we've got a rivalry in the men's that's a bit one-sided. We don't like them. They don't care.
They don't care.
But with the women's, you know, Katie Brennan, you don't get to walk out. You're a captain. You don't get to walk out on us.
Yeah,
so it's pretty sweet to beat them.
Yeah, definitely. But I was in the rooms before the game with the girls. There was a lot of energy in there, you know, and they ran out, and I was able to stay for the first quarter, and then I had to head over to Marvel Stadium. I did actually go into the rooms before the game yesterday, and then obviously I did my speech in the rooms, and I don't do a speech in the rooms, just to clarify. I did a speech at the function, and then ultimately, you know, we've got a lot of people in the room that we're entertaining, so you know, we chat to them at halftime, etc. But once halftime comes, generally I'm able to just watch the game and deal with that, and then head down to the rooms at the end of the game.
And you're talking to all the players, family and friends that are in the rooms as well.
Yeah.
It would have been a funeral.
Well, I mean, it was pretty full though. There was lots of people down there. It was pretty quiet and subdued though, as you can imagine. I think everybody was feeling a little bit shell-shocked.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, we've got questions sent in by the Patreons. I mean, there's a lot of them, so we might as well go in. First question, I mean, I think this is pretty much perfect. What the fuck? That whole season. It's just, no, actually, I just want your response to those three words. What the fuck?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to take those words as being in reference to last night. And as I said, I do think we were blindsided. We didn't expect that to be the result. But I will say Freo were extraordinary. You know, I thought
we don't care about that.
But I think that's important because it's not that you know, we were terrible and they were okay. They were phenomenal, and they've certainly earned their spot in the 8. There's no question there. And I think anyone who takes them for granted will do so at their peril. So I think that's the first piece. But it was certainly a very disappointing semi-end to the season.
Okay, so as we record this, Essendon might beat Gold Coast. Your media manager, Patrick Horan, has pointed out that's a 1 in 10 chance. Because if you look at the I think it's Sportsbet odds, gamble responsibly, you win some, we lose more. It's they're paying like $11, so it's a 1 in 10 shot. But I don't think anyone's holding out much hope.
Well, stranger things have happened in football, so we do have to be behaving like we may make the finals as a result of that. So we need to do that until Wednesday. So yeah, I mean that's it's definitely a long shot, that's for sure. But you never know.
Players are training tomorrow.
I'm not sure what their training schedule is. Yes. But yes,
we're
probably
getting nods
tomorrow.
from the powers that be watching us. Well, and is there a function that people will all the players watch the Essendon game together? I
would assume that they would.
Yeah.
Generally they do.
Do you remember often the Channel 7 would have the cameras in the rooms of the play? I don't think they'll do that for this one. That's all right. To go to a wider question on the season, what the fuck?
You can't ask that question twice. With a different context.
There's no other way to really. I've never experienced such a season of. I spoke to Mark Stevens last night. He called it perfectly the season of tease. The season of tease. We played so well. It always just felt like we were about to not only just break the league apart, but just dominate. And it never came to, like, by inches. Every game we would lose by inches. And, whether we lost Bont at the start or we had other players missing, Cody Waitman having 2 kneecaps, just so many things constantly got in our way. What the f***?
Well, I mean, you're right. I mean, there were a lot of challenges that were thrown at us. So some things that were out of our control, other things that were in our control, we need to accept that as well. But there are some positives to take out of the year, and I know it's hard to right now, but obviously the thing that we need to resolve is how do we go head to head with those at the very top of the table? We definitely did fall short in relation to that this year, but by the smallest of margins. So, we were close, but not close enough. So what do we need to do to bridge that gap? So I think in the context of that, when you look at those elements, also the other piece, that I think that we really need to consider is, when you look at the young lads that we've brought through the team this year and brought into the team, I know we're always, looking to the future and saying the future looks bright. Yeah, but I'm upset now. But, when you think about how deep our list is going to be now, VFL, minor premiers, there's some excitement in the context of what's coming through. And I think this year did allow us to really blood some of those players in a really positive way. So I think that there are some things that I'm really excited about in the context of that, despite the pain that we're feeling right now and the feeling that we're kind of stagnant, which I don't think that we are in the context of that. And as well as that, in pretty much any other season, 14 wins would get you in the finals.
Yeah.
So footy itself is changing. And so, that has not necessarily worked in our favour either.
Yeah, I mean, the future does look bright, and we will get to that. But very much, where are you at with your grieving? Because we lost less than 24 hours ago. I'm still at anger. I would love for you to be angry because you are so professional and and this is exactly what you want from a president, to be on message and strong. But show us that mum's angry as well. Show us that you're feeling it, because I know you are.
Well, is it worse when mum says I'm angry or I'm disappointed?
I think disappointment's coming up. I would like some anger right now.
I'm disappointed, and no one is more disappointed than the playing group and the coaching staff. That's for sure. So, I just feel deep-seated disappointment at this point in time, just because, I know we deserve more as a club and as a team, and it's just disappointing that we're not getting that opportunity, or most likely not getting that opportunity to see that through.
How do you because all the eyes are on you in the room when you have a loss like that. When do you get to, punch a pillow or something?
Well, I'm not like that, Danny.
You're
I'm not. I control my emotions.
Well, then football's wrong for you. It's an irrational place where we want to be.
I will say it's a pretty quiet drive on the way home. I think it's probably the place where it sinks in for me, the drive home. And, as you said, when you're in the function, when you're in the rooms, you are visible. And I think it's really important to have that composure on behalf of the club. But yeah, it's probably on the drive where I feel it the deepest.
What music you put on?
Nothing. I drive in silence.
Wow. Yeah, Powder Fingers these days is my end of season song.
Oh.
Except in 2016 when it wasn't. But yeah, fair enough. Well, it's probably a good time before we go into where the club's at and everything. It's probably a good time just to reiterate to the listeners, what is your role as president? Because I put it to the Patreons, and people are asking, who are you going to draft? Who are you trading for? And, you're not Sam Power, the list manager. I don't know how much say you have over Sam Power. Reiterate to us, what is in your jurisdiction?
Yeah, it's probably easiest to explain first the board's role and then the chair's role. So the board itself, ultimately the role of the board is to, in partnership with the executive, set the strategy for the club across all areas. So whether that be the football department, the commercial department, finance, etc., to determine where it is that we're going as a club holistically, and then to hold the executive to that, to make sure that happens, and that's the way in which what we're doing as a club plays out. The second area that is equally as important for the board is governance. So making sure that everything that we're doing is completely above board, is ethical, is commercially sound, is legal, all the rest of it. So just really making sure that everything at the club is completely in hand, and that we're operating, as a top tier organisation. So that's key. For the chair, it probably takes another level. And I think it's really important to know or to understand that, Amit is the CEO of the club, and that is his role. And, he reports into the chair. And Amit and I communicate pretty much every day, whether that be by text or a WhatsApp or a call or an in-person meeting. So he's keeping me across all of the major decisions, everything that's happening within the club. And then as far as the big decisions in the club, then obviously the chair has oversight to those. So obviously, if the CEO is reporting into the chair, well, the chair chooses a CEO, and the same with the senior coach, and those decisions obviously not in isolation, but of course in partnership with the CEO. So oversight from that perspective to the club holistically, and when there are big contracts that are being signed with big money, then the board and the chair need to sign off on that, and they need to approve that. So certainly that's really key and important as well. But then another important part about the chair's role is the connection with the AFL and the commission. So the chair is the representative of the club with the commission, so with the AFL commission. And so as a result, all the chairs of the clubs are involved in a lot of the big decisions that the AFL makes around certain things. And generally we find ourselves on different committees. For example, I'm on the competition committee. I represent...
What does that mean?
So there is a group of chairs and other employees of the AFL who get together and talk about things on a regular basis around rules and the like. And so it's an opportunity for us to weigh in on behalf of clubs as to what we think, the right decision is in relation to that. Now, as part of that, of course, I don't make that proposal in just in my own head, my own thinking, even though I can see your face, you're thinking how much you would love to do that, Danny.
I'm actually picturing, if Tom Boyd was here right now, he'd be going, can we bring back third man up?
But they are the types of things that are discussed. Now, that committee doesn't make that decision, but it's a committee where that feedback is given. So obviously it's important for me to speak to the right people within the club who are experts in that space and get their opinion and perspective, and then represent the club in the context of that.
And allegedly there's rumours of a new ruck rule which will benefit us next year. Can you talk about that at all?
Well, I have not been a part of a competition committee that has discussed that yet. So there is one coming up soon. So perhaps that's on the agenda. I don't know.
All right. Well, and so if you want to suggest any rule changes that would benefit us, what about Italian players get bonus free kicks. Every time an Italian player, be it with a certain amount of syllables in the name, you get a free kick, but then wherever you kick it to, that's where you take the second free kick from.
I think there is an understanding of when perhaps trying to create a rule that will have a disproportionate benefit to you. I think there's they're onto that. So.
Damn it. That was such a good idea. Okay, so all right, so that's what you do. And so you don't have so you sign off on contracts. Do you, a great question here, I'm just going to jump ahead to it this is from Steve. How much of the board has a general understanding of Luke Beveridge's game plan and the strategic rationale behind it? And then he particularly was lamenting the high defensive press, which leaked some easy goals.
So we're not across every week's game plan, but we certainly have a clear understanding of his overall game plan. So we do get a presentation from the football department led by Bevo, but also Matt Egan is a key part of that, as is Sam Power. So they come into the board meeting and they present their overall strategy and plan 3 to 4 times a season. And so we're very across that. We have the opportunity to pressure test, ask questions, give feedback. But obviously recognising that we are not a table of football experts. So I think it's really important that, one of the things about the board, and I should have mentioned this before, is that we are what I would call a skills-based board, which means we have a very specific breakdown of skills that we think is important to operate a very efficient board. So, for example, we always think we should have a lawyer. So if a lawyer steps off, then we generally replace that role with a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And so as a result of that, that is the expertise that we all bring to the table, our very specific areas. Of course, we have a football director on our board, which is, of course, Luke Darcy. So, he represents that perspective. And so each board member also has a portfolio. So as part of their portfolio, they partner with key executive within the club that, has that role. And so obviously Darcy then is connected in with the football department as a part of his portfolio.
What's your portfolio?
Mine is marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And
what else do we have on there? How many people are on the board?
9.
9. So we've got the football. This is like Ocean's 11. Everyone's got
legal,
their own skill.
Commercial, yep. Indigenous affairs, government relations.
Ooh.
So all those types of things.
No comedians.
Not last time I checked, but
Will Anderson's looking for a job, I swear. And what's it like when Bevo and Matt Egan and the whole football department come in? They give you a game plan. How much do they have to dumb it down?
I don't think they dumb it down at all, actually.
Okay.
They share a lot of slides that I think they've shared internally and within the football department. I think they expect that we have a level of understanding, mm-hmm. Particularly those of us who've been on the board for a long time. So, we've seen quite a few. So, I think it's pretty. It's not super high level. It goes relatively deep. Right into what they're planning is as far as composition of the team. In the next year. What we might be looking for in the draft. Those types of things. Yeah.
And have you ever seen a game plan and just been like, oh, absolutely not? And would you have the power to say absolutely not?
Not necessarily to say absolutely not, but certainly to question and pressure test it. Yeah, there is an opportunity to have a solid conversation around that. But no, there hasn't been a scenario where we've said chuck that out.
Can you imagine? Bevo better than me, but the definitely public persona is if you told him no, I don't, or you questioned that, his head would explode.
But I think one of the things that's important about boards in the context of that is that you are hiring the people that you believe that are best for the club in that role, whether that be CEO or head of football or coach. And then in the context of that, you empower them to deliver on what it is that the objective is that you're setting for them. And then ultimately, it's like in any role, if you don't believe that process is being fulfilled to the level or to the specific strategy that has been put forward, well, then there's an opportunity to obviously have those conversations and determine what that means. But it is about empowering people that you put in those roles and then holding them to account.
What was the board's expectation for this year? I mean, we know we're in a multi-year plan. We always are. There's always the long-term plan, the short-term plan. This year felt like we were playing so well. By that after the Collingwood game in round 2, I was just looking like, oh man, we didn't have Bont. We held them to within a goal, the terrible free kick count. But it just looked like the sky was the absolute limit. I felt the lid was off. Were you guys the same? Or?
I remember when you told me your lid was off, and I did tell you to put it back on.
That's your job.
Because it was way too early. You were running at me at some game saying the lid's off. I'm like, just chill, just take a breath. Look, I think that obviously there is an overarching expectation of evolution. But there aren't specific KPIs like we need to be here on the ladder or we need to have, because that's not realistic in the context of the way football evolves. And I say that because football isn't static. So it's not like, okay, this is what happened this year. So next year, everything else is going to be the same. And therefore we just have to do this and then, we'll be in a different place. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to operate and evolve within an ever moving environment. And so an example I would give to that is that last year, I would have said never has pretty much the entire competition, except maybe the bottom two, been so close. I'd never seen a season where that was the case. Whereas this season, never have I seen, that top of the table being so tight. And there being such a gap between the top of the table and the bottom of the table. So that's evolved and changed. So the important thing for us is that we need to make sure that how we're playing and how our game is evolving with that and is keeping up with that. And so, I, as a result of that, it has to be a longer term. It can't be a year by year thing because you just don't know where that's going to lead and change. And so if you become very micro and say, well, we need to be here by this year, it's not taking in all of those factors. And, in the context of Bevo, this is a 2-3 year proposition with him this next phase with the group that he has at the moment. And, and that's why, once I get through this heavily disappointed phase, I do think I'll be very optimistic about where we're heading because I did see a lot of things this year that I feel excited about. And, as I said before, there are a lot of things that are on us that didn't happen, but there were a lot of things that happened that were out of our control and that's footy, unfortunately, and it can have a really adverse effect on where you end.
What were some things that were on us?
Well, look, I think that our inability to, I think everybody would say our inability to, take that next step with the top of the table, to get so close so many times. I think our biggest margin was 22 points or something. You would know better than me.
Like that with the Hawthorn game, it was.
And so, that's close. That's close with so what do we need to do to take that extra step? And we can't blame anyone else for that, really. We need to own that ourselves, that there's something that we need to do. And, as I'm honest about, I'm not a football expert. I'm not supposed to be. That's not the role of the chair. My role is to say, okay, well, we need to be in agreement that we need to find out what that is. And the people who are professionals in that space need to go do that. So I think that's probably the main thing I would say that probably got in our way this year that was of our own doing.
Well, that leads into a great question that someone asked. What does the process of reviewing the year look like?
Yeah, well, we certainly, once the dust settles, we do all get together. As I said, we have those 3 to 4 meetings a year at board level with the coach and with, key leaders within the football department. And they're very open. They are always very open with us about what went well, what didn't. One of the things that I love about our football department is they don't sugarcoat stuff. They're very hard on themselves when they come meet with us. They don't come in with a glossy presentation that says how amazing they were. They actually do lay it all bare. And that is better for them and that's better for us. So we all feel connected and a part of it. And there's real ownership then for everybody. So we'll definitely go through a process. Obviously, they will themselves first within the football department. They will work through a variety of areas of analysing the year, what worked, what didn't, what they think they need to change for the year ahead, what they think we're missing from a team perspective. But they're all experts in that space, so they'll do that, but then they'll share that with us.
What sort of language is used there? Is it a lot of football jargon, corporate speak, or do they just go, oh, we effed it up?
No, they don't talk like you would, Danny. They're a little bit more professional than that. But
well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, they're professional. But no, nobody's trying to, as I said, there's a mutual respect that, a lot of us have been on the board for a long time. I mean, I think this might be my 12th year. I thought it was my 11th, but it might be my 12th. 5 years now as president. So there's a respect and understanding that we know what they're talking about. And so it's not dumbed down for us, and no one's trying to sound super clever or, but yeah, it's a pretty respectful professional environment though.
It's good. It's good. That's why I'll never get there, which I'm fine with.
Well, right. I was going to say that, which might be why you'll never get on the board, but I thought that would be mean.
You're allowed to be mean to me. I can handle it. That's the beauty of it.
You can stick to podcasting and banner writing.
I will. Thank you. And thank you for getting me back on.
Well,
this year.
you are the country's best banner writer. And given that no other leagues in the world do it, I'd say the world. I think that's probably
universe.
Fair. Yeah, well, and even the multiverse, perhaps.
There was one of our sillier Patreons did ask, with your Disney connections, can we get some players from the multiverse? Like, imagine like 20. There's that ad, Kashkaver's Bontland.
Yeah.
Imagine playing against Bontland.
Well, there's a lot of people when you look at the multiverse. So, certainly I will speak to the powers that be and see what I can do.
All right, let's go to back to the serious stuff. Liz and everyone, so many questions were about Bevo and the process of re-signing him. I mean, we've talked about this. Resigning and re-signing is too close. We need to just lead the way.
I agree with that. You need to put the little hyphen in the middle.
Hyphen's doing so much work there. But so talk us through this year. I mean, he wasn't contracted it seemed for the first few months. It was all like, we'll just see what happens. Yeah. And it looked good. I mean, I think we all agreed with re-signing him at that time. But now there's a few people going, well, you should have waited. So what was the process throughout the year? And I mean, you say there's no like football KPIs like ladder, you've got to get here. But what are the benchmarks for measuring the success of that decision?
Yeah, I mean, we're still very invested in Bevo. And I think that the hard thing is that no one sees behind the scenes. So no one sees what we do. And I don't mean that to be secretive or to be, you don't know what we know. But, we're very close to it. We're very close to what happens and the type of coach that he is. And, we are absolutely committed to the way in which he guides this group of young men. And we absolutely love the exciting brand of football that our young men play under his guidance. So, from that perspective, there is a real commitment and an alignment on that. And as far as the process, we did decide to wait at the start of the year, and we all did. So the four of us who were working on that decision.
So that's you, Bevo, Amit
Baines. which is me, Amit Baines, and Luke Darcy, and then Bevo is ultimately in the mix with that as well. We all agreed that it was the right thing for the club and for him to wait. So to just wait. Let's take the heat off because as soon as you re-sign him and then we lose a couple of games, then everybody's going crazy. So let's just wait a bit. Let's just have time to see how the team plays out, how the season starts to play out, and we will find a time where we think it's the right time to announce that. Now, we said all along that our intention always was to re-sign him, but we were just waiting and choosing the right time. And we still believe that the time we did was right. We think it was right for us. It was right for him. I think the period between the beginning of the season and when we did that gave Bevo fresh air, both in relation to doing his job, but also his interactions with the media. It was really interesting that a media that has been quite, critical of him in the past actually then was critical of us. Why aren't you signing him? Are you crazy? What are you doing? Which I loved because that was a really positive thing because I think that really gave him the freedom then to coach without that excessive external noise. And then once we felt that it was a period of time where, we thought that it would be comfortable for us to lock that in and move forward without there being much disruption, we did. And so I still think that it was the right time to do that. Now, the KPI thing, as I said, it kind of goes back to what I said before. It is about the journey that the club is on. It is about, definitely it's about connection with the playing group. That is the number one most important thing. The coach needs to be completely connected with that playing group. The playing group needs to hang on every word of that coach. And our playing group absolutely does. There is no question. and his relationship with them is as tight as it has ever been. And as I said, the decisions that, and he's not the only person who decides who's playing each week. It is a committee decision. But the bringing in of our young lads, what we've seen as a result of that, and the evolution of our team in the context of what is a very heavily and frequently evolving competition. Right now, I wouldn't want anyone else in that role, based on what I see behind the scenes and based on how he really understands the machinations of both our team and our playing group.
Was there ever a short list of potential other coaches ever even drawn up on the back of a cocktail napkin?
I can hand on heart tell you there never was.
Okay. Who would you like, though? If Bevo, got a job suddenly, Ange Postecoglou style, he's off to Tottenham Hotspur, and I would hate that to happen to Bevo. No one deserves that. Is there anyone that you've got an eye on as a replacement?
Well, I mean it when I say that we haven't thought about it, because we're not at the point where we think we need to, and I think it's dangerous to entertain that type of thinking, and to put, football is a very, very small universe, and as soon as you put something else out there, then it can change the dynamic. And I wouldn't want to say anything that would create any perception that I'm not fully committed to our coach, and I am.
So let's go to the off-season. What are your expectations? What are the board's expectations? I'm going to ask on behalf of the board, what are the expectations for off-season? How aggressive will we be in the trade period and the draft? And what's your personal hopes for the men's off-season?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's really important that they have a break, of course, and that they come back refreshed and, passionate and excited about the year to come. Obviously, that pre-season preparation is so incredibly important. So, we have some great people in our football department who really understand how to create that optimal outcome. And, we've seen with lots of teams and situations where, people can overdo it and then you get injuries early on. So there's a really fine line. It's such a science. And I really admire the people who work in that space and really understand how to get the playing group right to the peak without pushing them over the edge. Certainly I hope that all of our playing group are well. I mean, I think that Nordy had glandular fever last year, which, when you think about, and that's one of the things that, when we're talking about things that happened that were out of our control. And
who did he kiss? Well, that's a kissing disease, isn't it?
I'm sure he doesn't kiss and tell, and I certainly wouldn't know. So
I'm just very envious of whoever it was.
I will stay right out of our playing group's personal lives. But when you think about glandular fever, like that's such a hard thing to recover from, and it becomes other things. And he copped a lot of flack early in the season for his performance. So for him to be performing at the level he has been the last few weeks, so the latter half of the season has been phenomenal given that. So I certainly hope that everybody is well. I'd like Cody's knee to come good because, man, we miss him. His energy.
What's the latest on that? What do you know? Because, I mean, I've explained to the listeners what I know. I interviewed Cody in a pre-match function, and he's, how Cody's like. He sort of explained it half and then was like, no, I don't want to bore you, mate. But yeah, and then, so what do you, because it's such a unique, not even injury, I mean, quote unquote injury. He was born with two patellas in his left knee.
Yeah, well, my understanding is that he's really on the mend now. So he's had a lot of setbacks with that.
Infection.
Yeah, he got a staph infection. I mean, his knee.
Where external bacteria gets into the internal, and they're not supposed to mix.
Well, I don't know if you at one stage if you saw the size of his knee, it was the size of your head.
Oh, really?
It was really, when he had that infection, it was really quite frightening looking. So he had quite a few setbacks. But my understanding is that he's really on the mend now. He's taking his end of season break now because he'll be he will be in recovery and training right through when everybody else is on their break. So that's actually good news because it means that he's ready for that. So I'm not sure what the prognosis is on when he will return, whether it will be right at the beginning of the season or at what point, but we certainly miss his energy, enthusiasm, and his ability to really lift the team. And we saw that a little bit yesterday when Artie came on. He has a similar type of energy that he brings, an excitement that I think really kind of can motivate the group, particularly out of if they're feeling a bit flat. And so, and that's putting aside obviously his incredible talent. So, that's in addition to that. So we've certainly missed him this year. So can't wait for him to come back at some point next year, hopefully at the beginning.
So will we focus more on draft or trade? I know a lot of people don't realise Sam Power is not the list manager anymore. It's Michael Regan, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Sam Power is now the head of football, and so obviously Michael reports to him. But of course, Sam has, obviously a lot of influence over that because he's got a real strength in that area.
What picks do we have?
We have 11 and 29.
Okay, they're good ones.
Yeah, and
if you want to know the best 11s and 29s, by the way, draftguru.com, your ultimate nerd site for draft stuff.
But that also means that because we've got a pick in round 1 and round 2, it means we have some really strong leverage in there to be able to go after what we want.
What do we want? What do you want?
Well, I think what will happen as a result of that season review, I mean, obviously I'm sure a lot of work has been done on this already, but as far as the season review goes, I think that will really help to determine what we believe we're missing and what we need to bring in to bridge any of those gaps. So I will leave it to the professionals to determine exactly what we need and who they'll go after as a result of that.
And what nickname will we give Silvani? I mean, is he son of Joe or is it grandson of Serge? Or
I will leave that to you, Danny. Cheeky.
And what number is Zach Butters going to wear?
Well, Zach Butters is still contracted to another team at the moment, so I really can't suggest that we would be seeking him out.
This is my hard-hitting journalism, just trying to trip you up. All right. Fair enough. What else we got here? Actually, in we've had some bad trade periods, losing some big name players. Stuart wanted to know, in light of losing, Josh Dunkley is still very painful. Will we aim to trade players before their contract is up, especially with Tasmania coming in and compromising the draft soon?
Look, I'm sure particularly with Tasmania coming along potentially in the future, I'm sure that both Sam and Michael are thinking about what that might look like in the future. But, I think their focus will definitely be around enhancing and balancing our list. And I'm sure they'll have some really clever strategies in order to manage that.
Tom from Albert Park is a very active listener of this podcast. He even co-hosts it 90% of the time. I did ask Boydie what's the question he had for you, and I love this. What do you think drives the consistent inconsistency of the last few years? Because we can beat anyone on our day. We could beat the All-Australian side. However, there's also always that nagging fear that we could lose to the Northcote Cougars under 11s.
Really? The Northcote Cougars?
That's my son's team. Oh, hey, they've got a great head of high performance.
I have heard that your son's quite the gun too.
Well, from me, yeah.
Well, that is my source for the Northcote Cougars. That's for sure. Look, I mean, we've talked a lot about that really throughout your potty today about the different things that impact the game. There are times though, ultimately where the team is off and it's hard to know why. And, certainly the people within our football department who are experts in this space do try to get under the skin of what that was, what perhaps drove certain elements. But sometimes I think like with any team can have an off day, and we see that throughout inconsistencies from all teams. I mean, there's frequently upsets within every round. And, we're not immune to that. But I do think holistically that, we are making progress, that we are evolving. And as I said before, we do have a very exciting style of play that people love to watch and others like to emulate. So it is a tricky question, Tom, and a very hard one to answer because sometimes, you don't actually know what has driven something that has happened on a certain game day. But then other times it can be because, factors have happened like someone's unwell or there's an injury that has an impact on that particular plan of play. And, it can be really tricky.
Do you notice when you're the guest of other presidents that when we have is there any correlation between the food you're served and how well that team performs? Like, is there which and another, like, which other club do you like playing because they have a good function?
Well, it's all of the clubs that you would expect. The cashed up clubs have the big functions at the MCG, so you do get a full 3-course fancy meal at the G.
What do they get at ours? Just a bag of Mission tacos?
No, ours are pretty fancy too. We're not.
Hey, Mission tacos are fancy. They're great.
Yeah. Oh well, we love Mission, and I'd be more than happy for us to have Mission nachos at every round. I'd be up for that. We do sometimes have a round where we do have Mexican food with our beautiful Mission corn chips and wraps as a part of that. But no, I mean, I don't know if I must invite you to one, Danny, because you may not have experienced one. But at our beautiful Marvel Stadium, we get fed pretty well. They're pretty fancy these days.
And is there any team that's like, if you go play Port Adelaide, you got to eat a pie floater or anything like that? Is there any that you look? This is a hard hitting interview. Is there any club that needs to lift their game for the catering?
No, they're all pretty professional, and I think the tickets for people who are coming along are fairly pricey these days. So I think that everybody's expecting a pretty nice, substantial feed. Yeah.
The Demons still do the cheese boards?
No, they don't, but they do have pretty fancy desserts.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty special.
Right. Keely wanted to know, is there an upcoming player that you're very excited by? And I would like actually to answer that. I'd like a male and a female player. And I think she's also asked your favourite past player, but I think we asked you that last time because it was Kelvin Templeton.
Well, I said that Kelvin Templeton was the first player whose number I wore on my jumper.
Brilliant.
I think I was 7. But my favourite past player actually is Jono. I do love Jono.
Oh, Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a soft spot for him.
So damn likeable.
I know, goddamn. And it's real too. Like, it's not even fake nice.
Yeah.
He really is the nicest person you will ever meet and was an extraordinary footballer. So
I can only say one negative thing about him, but this is endemic across all fast food ads at the moment. His bite acting is terrible. When he's pretending to eat that hamburger in the McDonald's ad. But seriously, you watch any fast food ad right now, the bite acting is rubbish. It just offends me as a trained actor. Anyway, actually bite it. Come on.
Oh, that is so funny.
But who are you excited by?
He needs acting lessons. I could probably help with that. I know some people. Look, watching Geordie Croft last week was one of my highlights of the whole season, I think. And I was sitting just a few people across from his mum and dad, and, Dad Crofty was so nervous before the game. And at halftime, I said to him, surely you can relax now. And he's like, no, I can't. I'm still just as nervous.
Is he still on the board? He was on the board.
No, he finished up. So it was wonderful having him on the board. He is a ripper bloke as well, of which we have many ripper people coming out of our club. I absolutely loved seeing the level of his talent straight out the gate, and I really was not expecting that. His first game, despite his performance in the VFL, it's a whole other world stepping up to the AFL. So I was so pleasantly surprised by his performance, and I can't wait to see how he evolved. And plus, I love our father sons. I mean,
oh yes.
I mean, certainly.
Please, now you're on the whatever board you're on at the AFL where you whoever is suggesting we get rid of father sons, just scream at them, please.
Yeah, Simon Garlick.
Give them. Is it Simon Garlick? Oh, come on!
He's publicly renounced it, which that hurts.
Does he have any
more.
kids? Is that the problem?
He does have kids, but maybe he doesn't want them to play for the Dogs. Who knows? But that is, apart from anything else, we have been such winners in that space.
Oh, yes.
Our father sons have been such phenomenal additions to our team, but also ripper players as well. And plus, not to mention in our girls as well, certainly having Grandy's daughter play for us, and she is absolutely wonderful and a ripper person as well. So, I think from that perspective, I love that. And any committee that I'm on, I will fight to the death for father sons, because not only do I think it's something that we as a club have certainly benefited so well from, and it's such a special part of our club, I think it's such a unique element of our game. I don't think that happens in any other game in the world. So I love that that's something that's really special for us as well. So that's pretty.
Tim English
that's
just
pretty
got
key.
engaged to his lovely partner,
Rudy.
to Rudy. Now she's enormous as well, and he's played enough games now for father-son, father-daughter. Do you find yourself when you're, maybe we could just send, a couple of dozen oysters over to their house and maybe a Marvin Gaye CD. I don't know how they play a CD. They'll just go, "What is this obsolete technology?" But please breed.
You do like to cross the line, Danny, and that is something that I love about you, that you do cross the line. But when you think about that, and I think you've hit on something really important, the fact that if both the father and the mother are either athletic or have athletic genes, so when you think of course, Sam Darcy's grandfather on his mother's side is dual Essendon Premiership player David Shaw.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's got some pretty amazing talent on both sides of the family, which then, has made him the freak that he is.
Have you seen the other Darcy brothers?
I have. And
So
one
there's
of them
Will?
has just taken a bit of a leap in height as well. I think Will's just grown about a foot.
And Will plays as a key defender, doesn't he?
I think he does, yeah.
And there's the other one. Apparently, Max Darcy is a midfielder. Do you know any of these?
Yeah, I'm not really knowledgeable about what positions they're playing, but I do know that it is a very athletic family, including Sienna, Darcy's daughter. So, we might be able to get her for the W.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Let's try.
I've also been told Levi West is going to be amazing. So look out for him.
As I said, father and daughter sons, as I said, Izzy Grant. I mean, you asked me up-and-comers in the W as well. I mean, Izzy isn't necessarily an up-and-comer, but she is an extremely talented footballer like her father, and I'm really interested to see and excited to see how her game continues to evolve. And as far as true up-and-comers, Emma McDonald had a fantastic game yesterday.
Yeah.
And so, I think the future is bright for our W as well.
I probably shouldn't admit this on air, but I'm doing AFLW Dream Team, and I may have asked Toby McLean, were there any good young people going, and he talked up Emma McDonald. How
bit of insider trading.
It is insider trading, and just like,
goodness me,
hey, okay, I'm a criminal.
I might have to report you.
For the sweet $50 I may potentially win from AFLW Dream Team. But hey, the W, what a win yesterday. What's your actual realistic expectation for this year for the pups, as they're calling themselves?
Look, there's some really high energy within our girls group, and some real talent in there. I think time is going to tell where that will pan out, because it's such an unknown in the W, just because of how short they play, short a time they play. And it's really hard to know how the rest of the teams have evolved. And I know that everybody felt really disheartened last week against Melbourne.
Yeah.
But I think we all really underestimated how good Melbourne are. I think they are quite extraordinary. I think that they'll be a real contender. North has obviously broken away again. I mean, phenomenal performance for them yesterday as well. So they are certainly the benchmark. But definitely in yesterday's game, I saw extraordinary improvement and, a much improved skill level, which I think is really what we're looking at. So I think for our girls this season, I think they'll be going hard. They'll be trying their best to be as in it as they possibly can. And I think we'll see really strong progress from them.
Yeah. Well, and we really got to acknowledge the VFL. Top of the ladder. We play Frankston this Saturday here at Whitten Oval. So you got the double header.
Yeah.
Go watch the lads, Footscray. We'll beat the Dolphins. Then I think we close, Patrick was telling me we got to close the stadium for like an hour just to clean it all up. Then go back in and watch us take on the Hawks.
How wonderful is that? So much footy at our home and our heartland land here at Mission Whitten Oval. It's just really quite extraordinary, and just really leaning into our local community here in a way that, I never knew that we would be able to ever do again. So I just love that we're able to bring really awesome footy to the West.
It feels like we are connected to the community more than most other clubs. Catherine wanted to know, who's the most heart and soul person at the club who doesn't get acknowledged? I would always say Linda Peachy, who runs the cheer squad, and a lot of the past players group. I think she's just the best person in the league.
Yeah. Linda is phenomenal, and you're right. She is extraordinary, and she is all in the amount of time, effort and energy that she commits and the love that she brings. Like, she loves this club and everyone in it. And so she certainly is the heart and soul from that perspective. I think from a player perspective, you automatically go to Libba, but I think he does get a lot of recognition for that. I think people do know that. But I think probably one that perhaps isn't necessarily recognised because he's a bit of a quiet achiever in this space is Riley West.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's very, very much connected emotionally to the club and really delivers on that. So he's a special guy.
Well, thank you so much for coming out today. The last thing I would like to do from you is just, we wanted to, when I texted you last night, just, to share the pain, you said, I'll read the actual quote. It was...
Good to know that our messages aren't private, though, so that's a note to self.
You said, let's try to lift everyone's spirits. And let's do that now. I mean, you're the president. What we need from you right now is, does Disney have the rights to Independence Day? I don't want to do any film that's...
No, that's not ours.
That's not yours, okay. Damn it. Oh, well, I want you to be like the president in Independence Day. Tell us how bright the future is. Like, we're still, a lot of us are in... From talking to you, thank you. This has been therapy for me. I've gone from, I'm past anger now. I'm now at probably bargaining, which means if we draft well and we bring in Butters and we do all this, then we're going to win the league and we're going to win, 3-peat, 4-peat. We'll do it. Can you give us a President Whitmore style speech of just where you think this club is going and how beautiful the future is going to be?
Look, I think from my perspective, I would start by saying, from the very privileged position that I have within the inner sanctum of the club, within the inner sanctum of all areas of the club, I could not be more proud of everyone that is within this organisation. And I could not be more excited by what our playing group, our coaching group, our administration, our executive all bring to this club. And they bring their all. There's no question. There are no passengers in this organisation. Everybody is working to their absolute optimal to deliver what we all want. And that ultimate goal is, of course, another premiership. And that's why we're here. And everyone in this club knows that despite everything else that we do, and everything that we do is to optimise the opportunity for us to win a premiership, whether or not that's the revenue that we're generating, the partnerships that we have, the place where we live and thrive. These are all elements to drive to that ultimate outcome. Well, and also one of the things that is pretty extraordinary for the team is the fantastic list of players that we have re-signed this year. And yes, not resigned, re-signed. Of course, Bont, Libba, Das at the end of last year, Richo, Bailey Dale, and of course Nordy's on a long-term contract too. So, pretty amazing to have that extraordinary playing group all recommitting to the club, and I think that speaks volumes about where the club is at. And then when I think about the journey that we're on and the playing group that we have and how connected they are to our coaching group and how much they all believe, and they believe in us and the journey that we're on, and the young lads that we've brought in and the young women that we've brought in the W as well, and the father-sons that we have that, bring that life and light to the connection, the connectivity between generations before and the journey that we've all been on together over many, many years. I really can't wait till next season. I'm ready to just put a line through this one and start again, and round one next year I will be up and about and believing that we can achieve anything. The end.